How we doing, team? Nice to see that the number of subscribers has went up. Appreciate that. Just little by little every day. Chuck's in the background drinking his drink. How we doing, team? Just going to start out with a series of stretches. Chuck and I are already really warmed up. Anything cooling down at this point. Got some very needed no-gi rolls in with my uke. It's all good. We've seen each other almost every week in quarantine. Not that anybody's concerned about our health necessarily. Only their own, which makes sense.
Did you the cabinet plus?
No, we did not. Just looks like a perspective more to left. Yeah, we're just bantering about what the camera looks like. We're just gonna stretch out however we feel like, just for a couple minutes. Gonna continue on with pressure defense. In parentheses, preemptive defense, because you don't want to be getting your knees put into your nose just in general anyway. It's definitely a couple of things I forgot to go over on Tuesday, and some other things that I certainly wanted to talk about, didn't talk about. Some of us have maybe already taken a seminar and learned some of the things that I've shown, or I'm going to show. Do you remember all that Abraham roll stuff? You were here? We'll get there pretty soon. And I can guide you through it and teach you too. I should have talked about that before, but it's okay. The wonders of life. Legs over my dome. All right, team. I'm going to start talking for everybody's secondhand listening sake, and also Chuck's sake, because he claims he doesn't remember what I'm going to be needing him to do, but that's okay. So the guy that we took the seminar from, who had him stay here at our dojo for a while, his name's Abraham Marte, really big, awesome heavyweight black belt, world-class black belt. He claims he's learned all these techniques when he was a white belt, and I find that astounding because I'm a black belt learning this technique from him, and I really wish I would have learned this a long time ago. And I say that with a lot of sort of things, but it is what it is. Sometimes you feel like when you get to the black belt that you're done learning, but you actually you move backwards. So the thing that he drove into our heads is a connection to the ground. Okay, so not just the connection to the ground, it's how we use our forward roll and our back roll with that defensive-minded connection to the ground sort of thing. He probably described it a little bit differently, a little more eloquently, but imagine somebody's double under, right? So the basic tactic that Gumby would teach, or most of us teach, we're just gonna go plank here, right? And you're lifting your hips up and you're activating. Being flat has its disadvantages for sure, right? So the thing that Abraham was correcting or putting into our heads was always at least have your feet connected to the ground, okay? Because if you're gonna be playing that battle, I'm sure Chuck remembers this, or if you've watched any of the series of my classes, that we're trying to play that battle where they're in that scooping stage, right? It's the arms versus the legs, okay? And you're basically always widening your legs in such a way that they never get narrowed to that position where they're gonna get stacked, right? So if you're proactive, proactive and preemptive about this, right? Keeping your feet connected, keeping your knees wide, essentially, it should never be able to stack your knees together. And when they start doing that, they start getting desperate, and then they start trying to throw you over your shoulder, trying to flip you up over your head, right? But the emphasis on this is keeping your connection to the ground. Even if I lose one connection, I'm always trying to keep the other connection here. Okay, the same should be said if they're trying to throw me over this shoulder, I'm going to keep this connection. Okay, so that being said, if you're trying to throw me over my shoulder, watch how I'm going to keep this connection. In my case, just so it's easier for me to move, I'm going to use a pendulum. And I'm going to go up and over my shoulder. Okay, watch this. Up and over my shoulder, keeping my connection to the ground, and now I'm here. So watch, as I roll, my pivoting point is my toe, my big toe joint ideally, but right now it's just the toe itself. As I roll, keeping that connection, see how I spin on my foot, both feet down. Okay, very, very important thing. The big difference here is, watch this, if I just decided to forward roll without my connection, see I lose my connection to the ground, and I'm no longer powerful necessarily. You know? So if I go over my shoulder here with a connection, I'm sort of weak. You know, in the realm of thinking if I'm getting stacked, right? So I've lost my connection. They can over accelerate in such a way, and the power of the re-roll is going to be very, very important too. So that's kind of what I'm going to want to start off with, and then I'm going to retrack to what I was doing on Tuesday, the sweeps and that sort of thing. But I'm going to try to extend this out as much as possible. And I didn't invent any of this. I'm trying to give props out. And I know Abraham is always mad about not the proper props not being given in, right? So I give the props all completely to Abraham. How he would say it is like he's helping you, like, or he would say you just discover things, right? Like as you do these positions properly, you'll just discover what option is best for you, right? Depending on your body type. He happened to be a really big body. And when he does this technique, it's pretty much utterly impossible to stop him from doing what he wants to do. And he has other tactics too that make you feel like a little baby too. But anyway, what am I talking about here? Okay, so actually Chuck is going to go down on this because I have to be on top because he's not sure what to do on top, and he doesn't know what to do on bottom quite yet. Hopefully he's paying attention, and we'll see what happens here. So I'm going to reach for double under right here. Chuck is going to do that exact thing that we're talking about. I'm going to bring yourself forward, Chuck. Okay, so he's going to do that thing that I was talking about, keeping his knees wide, keeping his feet connected to the ground. Okay, you know, there's different ways to think about how to guard pass. Right now I'm low, I'm trying to get low. I might have been being high about this too, but I'm low on this at the moment. He might signal me to do other sort of things based on the way his knees are. If they're narrow or toriando, it might be a lot easier to just stack them just in general, right? This is a good general position because if I'm trying to stack them up, keep your feet connected, Chuck. This is the big thing. He wants to keep his feet connected. So once again, knees wide, keeping your feet connected. One or the other, right? It's going to be very difficult for me to lift both of them up. So the desperation tactic is going to be one or the other, right? And while that happens, one connection is always going to stay there. So I might be trying to lift both. This is not going to work. Really not going to work too well. So sometimes people might grab the belt. I like to do this personally, right? I might be trying to flip you over, but this situation is going to occur here. Okay, so I'm basically just kind of showing this first thing for Chuck. So I'm going to be trying to lift him up over his shoulder. He's going to go over his shoulder. Nice. And he's going to end up to the side of me. Okay, so I want you to actually do that to me, Chuck. We'll rewind that sort of thing. And just keep your arms in the same position. Here, good. He's going to try to stack me over one side. Good. And now I'm here. And notice how his arms are all kind of weird. That's fine. So keep your arms where they were because we're going to be kind of helping each other out for this. So this is kind of a drill. This is the way you kind of learn it. It's a compliance-based drill, but it's good. You need to learn this next tactic here. So that's why I didn't let Chuck do this. So the biggest thing here is I need to know that my leg is going to be stronger than his head and his arms and all that good stuff. Actually, go ahead and switch your arms. There you go. So a lot of time they're trying to stay in the hip ride, right? So Abraham would say, if he feels like he can't roll in, he would roll away. So right now I feel like it's the situation that I can roll inside. Yeah, I feel like his arm isn't so tight, right? So as I roll back through, still keeping my connection to the ground, I'm going to try to use my leg and scrape through his torso to his arm and past his head. Okay, I'm gonna roll through here, right? So if I'm in attack mode here, I'm gonna be in a good position to be trapping the arm, kind of like Tuesday, right? Sometimes both of the arms get trapped, and this is a good position here. So let's go and go top to bottom on this. And ideally, you should be able to do both sides better. Because I kind of forgot to teach Chuck all this stuff. It's going to take a minute or two for us to make this look pretty. So we're going to go here. So I'm going to throw him over his shoulder because I do most of the work for him. So he's here. He's going to re-roll and open up his leg. Oh, not that way. Yeah, there you go. Open trap. Look how he's trapped both of my arms. This is perfect for him. And if I just switch my arms the other way, go and roll over your shoulder again, Chuck. So if I ended up going here, this is perfect for him to do the other thing. So just go and go roll. Another big thing too I didn't talk about. So if you feel like they're really strong on this, I'm going to guide Chuck through this. So go and start to collapse over your shoulder, Chuck. Good. So right now he's maybe feels like I'm trying to stop him, right? So as he rolls, he's going to use his hand and push my face. This hand here, yeah, he's going to push my face, and then it's going to create space for his legs. Cross your feet. See how he's got this sideways position here? All right, this is like a huge revelation for me. This is what I mean by you're discovering positions. And like I said, if anybody had the fortunate or unfortunate situation to either roll with Abraham, but more importantly, take the seminar from him and learn from him and really try to listen and kind of turn our ego off a little bit and, realize, yeah, our jiu-jitsu, some parts of our jiu-jitsu really suck, right? Especially like the basics. That's kind of what he was putting forth to us, because I think his main academy, I think it's called Basico, and obviously it's like he's master of the basics. I mean, they already have some, of course, there's always fancy techniques and stuff, but his big thing is like old school close guard, like guard retention, and the other thing is like awakening guards, right? And he's doing videos too. He's showing a bunch of cool stuff online too. I've seen him on Facebook. Give him a look, give him a shout out. It's good that he's doing well right now during this whole situation. So we're going to be moving side to side on this. Okay, so to make this drill easy for both of us, I'm going to keep my arms under, or Chuck will keep his arms under. So it kind of allows us to go both sides. Okay, and essentially the top person, they're doing a decent amount of work, but the bottom person, they're certainly doing more work. So the biggest thing that the bottom person should be thinking about when they're doing this particular drill is keeping their shoulder connected to the ground, obviously looking the way that you're going to be rolling every time. Shoulder connection and your foot connection. Okay, so once again, just this invisible position here. So I'm imagining those active feet. If you were watching any classes recently with Gumby, or some of the ones that he's going to be uploading soon, he's talking about active feet. So we're going to be here as I roll, just move it out. Chuck, open, spinning, both feet connected. And you can also use this pendulum motion. So we're constantly practicing pendulums. If I want to do this on my own, I'm here. And I think I showed this on the post one time or another. Roll over my shoulder, pivot. Roll over my shoulder, pivot. Roll over my shoulder, pivot. And basically, Abraham would say that you're basically never going to get stacked again, essentially, right? There are some people that might stop you on the re-roll, right? In that case, you just roll away. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. So I'm going to make Chuck do this a couple times. Maybe make him look good, make him look bad. Who knows, right? We're both a little tired. And then he'll do it for me a little bit. I'm just going to do it as much as I can deal with throwing him side to side. So once again, his big thing, keeping the feet connected to the ground, keeping the knees nice and wide. He doesn't necessarily have to bridge up necessarily. He's just imagining that he's keeping these legs nice and strong. And I'm going to try to be even stronger, just throw him over his weak points, which are his shoulders and his hips, the corners of the table, essentially. I'm going to go here. I'm going to throw him over. Good. He's going to go again. Nice. Might be, and then what I need to hear, feet connect. Yes, whoever's doing this, you hear feet smack the mat every single time. Feet smack the mat. What does that mean? Connection to the ground. We'll throw him over the other way. Here we go. He rolls through. He's gonna smack his feet to the ground. So I saw that. Chuck lost his connection to the ground. That's okay. So when you roll through, try to keep this connection. I don't think he did it on the other side yet. So we're here, throwing him over. Good. Both feet connected. Good. Roll through. Both feet connected. Good. Chuck. Here we go. Both feet connected. Good. Both feet connected. Good. One side always tends to be better than the other. That's okay. Okay. So we'll get around to me doing this, just to see if it looks a little bit different. I'll get a little bit closer. There we go. Here we go. Which way is he going to take me first? Who knows? There he goes to the side that he's used to. Roll, connection. He's going to help me out. Go the other way. Nice. Let's see how I'm going with the flow. Very, very important. Nice. That if you don't go with the flow, now you're going to get thrown over your neck all crazy. Oh.
And also, if I don't do the pendulum, I'm not going to get past his head the way I want to. Oh, he's going to go the same side. Sometimes if they don't do that quite right, I can just go straight to this position here, right? And obviously, the neck, very vulnerable. Him being vulnerable to sweeps, very obviously vulnerable. All I got to do is break my opponent down and take them one side or the other. And one side might wind up for the other here. And I might be in a bad situation. All I have to really do is just switch one leg, and I have him in a triangle. Because one arm in, one arm out is what it is. Of course, I prefer to stay on top. So let's just talk about that turtle position a little bit more. Okay. So instead of Chuck helping me out with this, it's nice that he's helping me out. We're both helping each other a lot, and you'd be surprised how often your partner or your sparring partner, whoever you're practicing martial arts with, is going to help you out. Whether it's like boxing, they leave openings every time they punch. In jiu-jitsu, people are always helping you out. You just got to know how to let them help you. Kind of like never force against force, and seeing where that floodgate will open, and also knowing how to pick and choose your battles, right? So right now, we're in this mindset that it's not just my leg that's going to be beating my opponent's arm position. It's going to be the power or the connection to the ground and the power of my roll and my whole body. So Chuck is going to put me in just that standard hip right position. He's going to have his hip connected to my hip. Yes. So just put a little bit of less weight on me. So, the more weight he puts on me, actually, the worse this is going to be for him, depending on who's. If he's tilting me, like I said, I would try to go away, right? But seeing what time to do the technique is very important. So right now, I feel that he's kind of loose enough that I'm going to be able to do this roll and kind of conquer this position. Because of the way that his arms are, I'm banking that I'm going to be catching one of his arms in between my legs. So sometimes it's both, and sometimes I might not necessarily get an arm trap, but I'm going to be getting an angle. Okay, the biggest thing on this is when we roll, we get an angle. When I show it on the post, I don't end up being in front of the post anymore, not in front of my opponent's, in front of their arms. I end up being at the corners outside of their arms here. So he can put this decent amount of pressure. So I'm just going to roll the same way. I'm going to bring my hips up. I got my connection to the ground. And now, and depending on how much pressure I feel like is going on, yeah, they're always going to try to stay tight, but to push his face away and open here. So this is a really interesting position right now because of the way he was maybe trying to stay tight. I see that there's a pathway to his back. Okay. So all I really have to do is stay strong here, right? Open my leg around my opponent's shoulder. So right now I have the outside of my opponent's shoulder and the outside of my opponent's hips. This seems pretty good to me. So all I really have to do is I tend to pull something over here, depending on the situation with the gi, maybe just pulling something to pants, something to tilt my opponent. Right now he has a belt, but don't ever really bank that the belt was always going to be tied. Some people will tie it loose, that sort of thing. But right now when I escape and I turn, I'm going to be able to track my opponent's arm and his leg. So it's going to be hard to show, but you're not seeing. Trapping the arm and the leg here from that very unique position. Like I said, you'll just discover things. And I'm pretty sure that when Abraham was showing this, he showed this option, and I'm just like, whoa. And I didn't question it. Just drill, train over and over. So let's figure out a better angle for this. I can do this side too. Is this going to be a better angle? Yeah, it should be fine. So this is on the less common side for me. This is fine. I'm going to roll. I'm still going to push his face. I'm pushing his face away, right? I'm opening. Yeah, see, I was compelled to move that wrist. This is very important. There's a lot of cool things that might happen from here. I saw some old videos of Valletta showing some really sweet sweeps from position like this, actually more from half guard. Obviously, this would be very strong for me to flip my opponent over this direction here, right? A lot of time they're not going to let that happen. He's got his free hand. He's probably going to be moving that ankle down. That's fine. He's going to be moving my hips out, taking his back. And once again, I have his arm strapped in his leg. So I'm going to end up just do the same angle, but different side. Open. And now I'm here all the way around. I want to make sure I keep the space away, opening and trapping. If you see, trying to go around my opponent's arm. If I can keep a grip on that, that's cool too. Boom, just making sure it stays there. Always escaping away, never pulling my opponent's weight on me. I got his arm trapped. I can grab a nice little fat of the hand grip and go straight to the neck. If he doesn't have his hands, he's not going to be able to defend the choke very well. One-handed choke, I can just go with my hand behind my neck pretty easily and just flex my bicep over his neck.
Try maybe a different angle on this.
Let's go here. All right, roll, push ahead. So for some reason, maybe his head moves back to the inside. That's fine. His head is caught in between here, and I still kind of have an angle. See how both of his arms are kind of caught on the side? And even if one of them comes out, we know this is still good. But at this point, probably still be taking him down. Okay. And I want to talk about how I want to properly sweep my opponent from one arm trap to one arm.
So really quick, team, just gonna get a quick sip of water, and we're gonna move on to the rest of the series. Excuse me. All right, team. So showed a bunch of submissions from that arm trap position on Tuesday and completely forgot to talk about the sweeps. Okay, so once again, I kind of like to just generalize, or like, you have all these positions, and you can just think about kind of like a computer. It's like a folder, and you have all these different little folders that come out in different tabs and that sort of thing. So one thing you can like think of like every different, pillar position or fundamental position, that's like a main folder, right? And then there's all these like other subcategories. So within all these basic pillars of jiu-jitsu, there's always these same directions that you can sweep, right? Like one direction, the other direction, and take the back. Same things with the circle of submission. Like arm bar will lead to triangle, triangle will lead to omoplata, shoulder lock, and arm lock within the triangle, etc. And obviously taking the back. And you're also just kind of always using the theory of can't ever defend your arm and your neck at the same time. Generally, if you're using good philosophies and concepts behind, or having well developed technique, right? Like that's like half of the game. So having some of those concepts behind, obviously some of us are pretty well trained in certain submissions, but a lot of black belts are good instructors. Are like, we're here this a lot. Purple belt knows as many moves as me. I don't know about this purple belt. He just doesn't know about doesn't have the right sequencing and timing necessarily yet. Most really well seasoned purple belts should know a crap ton of techniques. And I remember when I was purple belt, I was just like, man, realizing how vast this game is and how much the game is changing around when I was a purple belt. Anyway, I'm really ranting and digressing. So let's move to the next thing.
So I'm actually going to start from close guard here. So that same old frame of mind here, the bite position. I gave a big old spiel about that. I'm going to talk about it again. Okay, so we're not strong here because I'm letting my hips be lazy, and really right now I feel like I don't even have a good strong close guard to begin with. I feel like just my toes are doing the work here. When I activate my hips, pushing off my shoulders, bring my hips close to my opponent, right, and keeping my feet crossed. And some little tips from Gumby is keeping your heels tight, right? But I'm also trying to keep that connection to the ground, right? Usually I'll just try to keep my heels any sort of connection, but that extra little pinch actually is a really good detail on that, okay? So we have that good position there. A lot of the time I'm thinking about how I can just break my opponent down just generally, right? How I'm breaking them down here, right? A lot of the time they're going to be really, really strong to get back up, right? In the act of them getting back up, moving forward, and moving backward, I don't know if I talked about this too much on Tuesday, but this is a very important thing, right? Generally all the attacks will come from that basic motion of you trying to break your opponent's posture down. I spent like 3 hours with Gumby today, and we went over all the fundamentals, so this is all very prevalent. So it kind of works the same way, because I'm trying to open up my opponent, trying to get that space, depending on the situation, right? If we start out, if he knows completely what I want, keep his elbows tight forever, like probably not gonna work the exact way I want to. I'd have to do some extra things, but I'm trying to create a situation where I'm going to break down his fortress and structure just a little bit so I can kind of create space, make him worry about his posture, right? Or make him worry about how he's going to be able to pass more properly. So I might be, try to move his hands, right, try to break him down. As he's posturing back up, that's when I'm going to try to bring a knee in here. Okay. If I can, I want to try to keep my back leg curled. Depending on your flexibility, you might need to let your hips sink down, right? Generally, when I do this, I want to kind of keep this back hook very strong. Chuck can feel my thigh pinching on the back where his kidney is, right? And my foot might be temporarily on his hip just so I can kind of sit here for a second, right? So pinch, maybe foot on the hip for a second, but my goal is to put it on the crook of his elbow for the moment, okay? Or I might just be trying to throw it over, right? Depending on what my goal is. I showed I'd be hitting omoplata from that position, right? So this is a sneaky thing that I like to do. I just showed the different little levels of that. Depending on what sort of sweep that you want to do, right? That's actually a really good some advice. And I'm gonna move off on a tangent really quick. So the name of the sweep always eludes me here. But grip here. I'm trying to break my opponent down. I think they call this flower sweep, and I know it's really bad. Sometimes names will elude me, right? So sometimes that sweep doesn't work too well, just because you can't create enough power. Sometimes I'll put my foot on the hip, and then I'll lift my hips way up on this. Okay, I'm just kind of showing this to maybe fill in some blank space in your brain and in your game about how you're able to generate power. My hips are way up at this point. This is going to help me to create a lot more force to break my opponent down. Just a little word of advice. Okay, so I'm kind of doing the same thing on this. I'm trying to kind of ascend the level because once again, I wasn't able to break my opponent's posture down. So I'm trying to do more, have an uneven fight on this. So I'm just going to sneak my leg in, foot goes past, and I'm just going to shoot my knee joint over as fast as I possibly can. And I know I showed that on Tuesday, and I probably didn't give the same winded explanation. I'm going to go here, shoot my foot past, right? And you might be thinking, oh, this might be the time that they're going to think to stack you. But really, this isn't something that he chose to do. And normally when they start stacking willy-nilly with one arm in, one arm out, it's usually kind of a death sentence depending on whose guard you're in, right? So I'm going to go chop, kill his arm with my leg, which should usually be a stronger endeavor for me, and pinch my leg over the other leg. So right leg is going over, or actually right leg is under my left leg. So right leg down, left leg over, right leg down, left leg over, okay? So here we are, doing everything I can to keep this arm in, right? So sometimes this arm will slip out, right? When they do that, I'll just go to the other side. And then I'll just do it again a lot of the time too on the same arm. So it's really important to kind of be able to practice both sides on this because you can really frustrate your opponent to never want to be in their closed guard. Really, you should never be in the closed guard. Just staying in your quote unquote safety position, thinking maintaining the status quo is going to be the thing to do. I'd recommend standing up and doing some other things. That's basically kind of the thing that I'm going to bait out of all this, but that's going to be like a whole other video and situation. I'll talk about what my favorite things to do when somebody stands up, certainly in another series, certainly in another video. So let's just keep it to my opponent is down on their knees. They're trying to stay quote unquote safe, as postured as they can. And what can I do? Okay, so there's going to be some very obvious things here. Boom, here, boom, track. Okay, huge revelation for me, this position. Like lately, when I played closed guard drills, if you're playing closed guard drills with me in the last 6 to 8 months, this is all, for the most part, I was doing. Pretty much all I was doing, okay? This is all what I'm trying to do, not having even battle going on here. So what's up, Chuck? Just looking at stuff. So I got 2 grips, I still have the 2 grips. I'm generally, right now, I'm just thinking about going to the percentages. So I've locked down one of his arms. I want to do all those good concepts in jiu-jitsu, staying out of my opponent's arms, keeping them between my arms, keeping them between my legs. You can get those things going on. You got a lot of good going on. Remember, arm isolated, getting outside of their arms. I have them between my arms, have them between my legs. That's a lot of good stuff. So hips up, I'm generating a lot of power on this. I might be able to pop this grip off depending on what's going on, right? My goal is to move this off to the side, okay? So we're gonna be in the situation finally to pendulum sweep. I know I talked about this last week or last Tuesday, and the pendulum a lot. This will be the first time I think I've shown a pendulum sweep the whole quarantine. Who knows? I don't quite remember. So to finish this pendulum sweep, I'm just gonna reach around my opponent's lap, maybe their shoulder, depending on what I can get in there. I like to really start to reach under my opponent's leg, maybe to the outside to grab the knee, maybe to the inside. Right now, I feel like I have to grab the outside of his knee, kind of like whatever sweep that I was forgetting, flower sweep that I was just showing. So it's very, very important that I get an angle on this, making sure my hips are nice and sideways. Okay, because I want him to tilt. He's going to become a peak, and I want him. He's going to be going over my flat surface. Unfortunately, I prefer him not to put his weight on me for too long. That's why I'm going to transfer it over. Okay, I can't take it over. I'm going to be able to go up. If I can't be able to go up, I'm going to be able to take it back, and obviously triangle and do all kinds of things. Okay, but the beauty of when I pendulum sweep my opponent, I've mounted them, and I have one arm trapped. Okay, so we're here. So when we pendulum, I never want to rob myself of any power. And also, because of the way that they have, if they open up their elbow and think that they're going to try to stack me from here, they're basically just going to get triangled. Okay, so they should be very compelled to not be playing this stupid stack game, because that's what kind of got them into trouble in the whole get-go of that. Okay, so I'm going to bank that he's not going to try to throw that arm over his shoulder. So I'm going to wind myself up. I like to lean into my opponent. I like to feel their reaction too. I'm going to lean into my opponent. I'm going to straighten this leg. Why am I straightening it? Why am I going down here? Because I don't want to rob myself of any power. I've said this so many times. I've done this a lot where I'm here. It doesn't even feel like it's going to work at all, right? If you're going to get somebody maybe your size, maybe. But let's see if I can fix it. So I'm going to go straighten my leg, and everything is going to move off to the side. Everything is going to move off to the side. So I get everything tight, straight leg, everything moves. I end up on top. The beauty of this is I can snatch the arm this way, I can snatch the arm this way, and you got some easy finishes. And obviously, trap the neck. You can hit some weird triangles from here. I can also sit for some back triangle positions too. Sit, trap the arm, hit my opponent to the other side. Lots of things. I'm just going to show some different angles on the pendulum sweep. Not much more to explain on that, but I'm more than likely going to end up explaining details along the way. Let's go over here. We'll try to just do about 3 different angles on the switch. Open, trap. It's up, it's down. Got my opponent, right? Don't rob yourself of any power. I basically kick into my opponent's hip, kick down into their body. So that's, I know I kick all the way down. My leg is straight. Now it bends out at a 45-degree angle. Good deal, dude. Take my opponent's arm. If they take that away, you got a gift wrap. Take that away. I got a straight jacket. All kinds of things. Yeah. Into the camera. Great. There we go. Sound effects and all. Hips up. Got to break the grip somehow. Hips up. Hips down. There we go. I might even be able to gift wrap this up. I don't feel like that really doesn't take much away from me. It might be an easy way to just hit the triangle really quick. But I'm grabbing around the lat, grabbing what I got, grabbing the knee, kick straight. Really good position. Last angle on this. Open, trap. Boom. Let's do it again. Be your rewind. Be your rewind. It took like, I'm gonna try to stop it. It's actually pretty hard to stop if you think about it. Right down. Here we are. Yeah, got the wrist. Well, maybe I'm getting really under. I feel it. If I can get really under, this is good. I didn't get to shoot my leg through. I felt like it was more viable to keep my leg in front. Also a thing to do. But if you don't kick your leg all the way through, you're not sitting up. But that's okay. I can hit triangle position from here. I might be able to sit him over, trap his arm. Right. Constantine was a big fan of this position. Watching John Danaher videos. All right, team. So, generally, when you drag somebody's arm, especially kind of from this very extreme position, the opponent should have some very sharp alarm bells going off. Okay, very, very sharp alarm bells. Anytime your arm gets trapped, you should just generally be thinking, how can I compensate with another limb? I was kind of talking to Chuck about this. So if your right arm is being trapped, you think you should step your left leg up? Hell no, right? Let's test that theory really quick. So I'm trapping his right arm. So he steps his left leg up. Oh, yes. Classic mistake. Let's try this again. So I'm going for his right arm. Steps his right leg up. This is going to be much better for him, right? If I try to sweep him over that same leg, it's not going to work. Let's just go the legs down real quick again. Other leg. So I didn't sweep him, but he's inviting this sweep, right? All I have to do is just open and kick it. He's done that to himself, and I was kind of lazy on that. Should have taken more elegantly. Anyway, so even if Chuck doesn't step his leg up, but that might be a reaction. That was something we're working on in our no-gi drills before. Let's just maybe say I can't pendulum sweep them. Maybe they're too big. Maybe you just didn't do it right. Okay. There is options to just do kind of like a sit-up sweep, especially because their arm is trapped. You'd be very surprised how easy it is to sweep your opponent there. I use this position on a lot of strong dudes, and they don't want to get taken over to the side that I've dragged, and they're very adamant about it. But my ace in the hole is also knowing that I have that arm trap. I know I can bulldozer up, like option 2 that we're working on. Yeah, sweep, and then remember the sit-up. Yeah, basically, it's gonna be a sit-up sweep with his arm trapped. Okay, so let's talk about that. I like this one a lot, especially when guys are just so freaking strong. We have this guy that trains with us from Lloyd Irvin. Shout out to Dom, right? Yeah, Dom. So, sorry, I've called him by the wrong name one time, so I just wanted to make sure, give him respect. Yeah, once again, used to train with Lloyd Irvin, super tough dude. And man, the only way I can wear this guy down is putting him in this position, and he gets frustrated too, and rightfully so. He gets out, but then he gets put right back in because this is just a second away, team. Just doing this is just a second away all the time. I haven't found the person that makes me pay for doing that quite yet. But anytime you open up your guard, somebody should be making you pay just in general. So they're thinking, okay, he's going to keep his closed guard for a while. It's probably the wrong thing. I'm always trying to see and feel when my opponent opens up their guard, and then Chuck should be trying to bring his leg up to control his armpit space and yada, yada, yada. But I'm trying to go faster than my opponent in this case. So maybe we just got in a closed guard. Boom. What's he able to do in that little millisecond? Okay. Just try to be faster than your opponent. Have a plan. Use the best man. Like I said, my square one, as soon as I get to closed guard, I'm trying to feel how well I can use the bite, right? In combination with this technique here. So, like I said, sometimes I just launch it, but sometimes if it's not the right time, maybe I got to start putting some big power into this, right? As it comes back up, boom. Got this position here. So I'm going to break them down, and now I'm sideways, and I'm up. Okay, you're asking yourself, why are you up now? Well, I didn't quite feel that the pendulum sweep was going to work, or maybe even it was going to be not a smart idea for me to stay down here because maybe their arm is so strong that they're able to just bully back in front. Even though it's going to be kind of a stupid endeavor, there's not a lot of good reactions from here. Well, the best thing for Chuck to really do from here is to posture back up and try to get his arm out. And that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. Okay, so just bear this in mind. That's why I'm kind of just really marinating this, for lack of a better word, and spreading this out and trying to drill this into your head. Okay, I want all 6 of you that are going to watch this in the long run. Okay, hips up, block down. Okay, now I'm in a great position. Okay, I already talked about all those good Gumbyisms. Always keep your opponent between your arms and your legs, and have them face planting on the ground. Right, if you really want to be a dick about this, you can really force their head into the ground because they only have one hand to block, and rightfully so too. I could really be mean about this arm here and really make him face plant if that's what I want to do. Not necessarily what I want to do. Okay. So what I could do is I could be gift wrapping him, but it all depends on his position. So right now I'm just thinking sweep. So I'm going to take him up and over his shoulder. Because of my foot position, I don't want to keep my feet crossed. As soon as I come up, I'm going to come up to kind of an S mount. But, I'm sure Chuck is going to be compelled to go double under at that point. And we can talk about that, but let's not get there quite yet. So what's going to happen? So it's basically just a sit-up sweep over his shoulder here. Okay. So I'm going to go open my feet at the last second, and I don't fall over my ankle. Okay. So if I lose his shoulder, I'm still in a great position here to keep his arm trapped and thinking maybe about triangle. Ideally, I want to catch him sideways here. Use my hip to block sideways here. If he's compelled to go double under, this is fine, right? And he's sideways, this is bad for him, okay? This is what's called the samurai choke here. That's what Draculino calls it. I've caught a handful of people in this, it's just a very specific situation. So both of the arms are under, keeping my heel pinched super duper tight, right? If I try to play the old S mount, I'm most surely gonna lose on this. But if you're playing the Gumby S mount on this, you're gonna be pretty good on this, right? Should have decent connection to the ground. Everybody should know how to go bow and arrow from here. You're just gonna go one grip to the other grip. And because of both of his arms are trapped, he's pretty screwed. If that's what he comes with. Let's go side angle here. Oh, trap. Right now, I'm just going straight up for it. I already got it. Up. And right now, I want to try to keep his shoulder as much as I can. Try to keep him sideways. That's fine if you tend to lose everything. I might have to move through, go with the flow. If I keep the arm, which I would prefer to keep the arm, I can reroute back to the neck and the arm here. Okay, we're here, move the elbows out. This is just a sneaky little motion to get this arm in. Arms out. But the beauty is, the more he defends the one arm, the more he exposes his neck and the other arm and all kinds of other things. Really quick, team. That's some stretch, probably strain. Get some water too. Just 1 second. Gumby was spazzing out this morning too a little bit. Probably dehydrated. 1 second. Almost done. Probably from all the legs crossing. All right, I'm gonna show that option one more time. Now, kind of show the last thing. I'm kind of maybe show combinations of the way you can use all these moves together. Trap. Break my point down. Already up. Open. And now we're here. Right? Who knows? Maybe he's really trying to keep this elbow down. And I sit up to my favorite one plotter position here. So move over real quick, Chuck. Move over. I rerouted to this position here. Okay. And the beauty of that too is you can just come back to where you came from too. Hit the armbar. All right, team. So last thing to talk about is probably should have been just the first thing to do, but I tend to like to think sweep side to side, right? I tend to like to think sweep side to side, especially just from this over-engineered position. If I'm doing like basic arm drags and stuff, I'm pretty well trained to just hit the back right off the gate. But this isn't necessarily a basic arm drag, and the way that I tend to open up my legs or not is gonna determine what sort of control I'm gonna have. So let's see how I'm gonna do this sort of thing. Well, open, trap. If any of that made sense, break my opponent down. Here. So right now I'm gonna take my opponent's back. Okay. So I have the good shoulder. And unfortunately, in this case, I'm gonna have to open up a little bit. Okay. I might be able to flip all the way over to take their back, but it's kind of risky, right? Losing my connection to the ground. So right now, I'm just gonna try to escape away. Really, the only bad thing about what happened is I had to let go of his arm. But I'm always trying to transfer control. So as I let go of his arm, I'm really gonna try to use this hand and try to trap over. Okay, just a little 10th planet trick that I saw. It's a pretty sweet trap here, keeping this here. And ideally, I'd want to do this on both. But all right, I'm just trying to immobilize one of his arms, right? And at this point, I can use this other hand to block here, all depending on what I want to do. If I want to take him over here and block his arm, this is actually ideal. And then I can do this on the other side. I don't quite remember what that trap is called, but pretty useful. All right. A lot of sneaky ways to shoot this position. I'm just doing a little bit of a different one. So maybe I'm a little bit bored. Who knows? All right. I'm thinking about taking my opponent's back in. Just to show too, if I can get the gift wrap here, put on the hip, boom. Really great way to hit that triangle. Here, maybe I'm thinking about getting up, right? Maybe I was thinking about penduluming. Well, maybe that's the reason to get to that position here, right? And I'm not a big fan of the hooks, That's what else leaves this hand pretty mobile. See, I kind of feed one hand to the other, trap. Kind of the beauty of this, I'll make sure this stays trapped. And I'll probably just be choking my opponent at that point. All right, I'm just gonna do a quick review of everything basically I showed today. And then, yeah, I'll just have a send off, don't cool down. So we'll start from the very beginning here. Oh yeah, Chuck will be down. You have to work for me. Over here, I'm gonna throw over one side, good. I'm gonna go again, boom. I'm gonna go again, just two more. One, and two. I'm doing some of the work for him. So now, gonna be here, I've switched my arms. He's gonna go for the turtle roll here. So he rolls, you push my face, yeah. Go across your feet, cross your feet, cross your feet, yeah. And see how he's on the side of me? This is great. This is great for Chuck. It's gonna be hard for me to move my body back through there. All right, let's do the other option. We'll get through that. Probably less than a minute. Oh, that's fine. I'll do that. Okay, here we go. First move, pendulum sweep. Reach to the outside of you, reach to the inside of you, wherever you got. Don't rub yourself with any power. Lean into your opponent. Move to the other side. End up on top and finish. Here we go again. Knee in. Maybe I needed more power to bring my hips up. Here. Easy sweep this direction. Getting up on top, finishing again. Ideally. Maybe they're staying really tight on this. Okay. Sorry, excuse my language. All right. Now I'm thinking all back. Might be able to switch to the grip here. Probably should have did that a long time ago. Some sort of grip. Take my opponent's back. I'm really flexible in that case. That worked out really well. Sorry if those angles weren't the best. Just gonna make sure my knee looks nice and pretty. Say my send-offs. All right, team, got the scoop a little bit. So apparently what we're doing is we're transferring a lot of, not necessarily transferring, there's gonna be a lot of new content on the website and different pay tiers for certain things. Some of you are already gonna get like a lifetime subscription to that just based on supporting us through the quarantine and all that sort of thing. But we're gonna be doing just one online class a day instead of the vast majority of classes that we've been doing, maybe 2 to 3 times a day. It's just gonna end up being one time a week. I'm not sure what classes are getting cut yet. By next week, we'll probably have a schedule for that. Other than that, I appreciate the continued support. Once again, like and subscribe if you want more subscribes and likes or comments or anything like that. Once again, always feel free to email us, call us Goofy, whatever it is. Appreciate everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at Gundy's class.